When it comes to successful Doctor Who pairings, there is one that is an undisputed recipe for success: Stephen Moffat with Russell T Davies. Stephen Moffat has been one of the most maligned showrunners out there, and I'd say rightly so, because while he's a great writer, on his own, he has this habit of being a tryhard. He tries to prove to the world that he is a genius writer, and yes, he is, but he needs somebody to rein him in. And Russell T Davies does this job amazingly well. He is extremely good at getting Moffat and going through his ideas, I guess, and scripts and say, make it simpler, make it more approachable. This pair has given us some ideal episodes, and I think that Stephen Moffat is even better when he's given an arbitrary limitation, like Russell T Davies asked Stephen Moffat, "Hey Stephen, can you give us an episode where the Doctor appears for a very short time?" And the result was,
"Your life could depend on this. Don't blink. Don't even blink. Blink and you're dead. They are fast, faster than you could believe. Don't turn your back. Don't look away, and don't blink."
which is probably the best episode in the entire reboot of Doctor Who, and maybe one of the best episodes in the entire show. On his own, Stephen Moffat can also do some great episodes, but they can be alienating to a lot of the audience, as season 6 to 10 proved. So here we have the return of Stephen Moffat in Doctor Who, with Russell T Davies as the showrunner, and this episode is very interesting because it is mostly taking part in one place with very few actors. And it's probably the weakest episode that Stephen Moffat wrote for Doctor Who at Russell T Davies, I'll tell you that. But if the bar is something like The Empty Child, or Silence in the Library, or The Girl in the Fireplace, or Blink, the weakest can be still very high. And my guess is this will be the highlight of this season, seeing how things are up to now. So the idea is that we're on a battlefield by a theocratic army, and there is a landmine. The Doctor steps on it after he and Ruby land on this planet. And yes, before that there were two soldiers that were also triaged, I guess, by some military AI. And then we have a few characters coming in, like one of the soldiers who is blind. So, alright, I'm not explaining this well. So, Stephen Moffat can get complicated in his ideas and introduce a lot of elements, but he can keep the pace, and as the story unfolds in the episode, it all makes sense. So we have this planet, and we have two soldiers. One of them is blind, but he has a daughter, and she's back at home, and it's some sort of an Anglican military or something. His comrade steps on a mine, which activates the ambulance, and since the ambulance scans him and say, "Oh, you're blind, we cannot afford to heal you, so we'll kill you," he dies. And then the Doctor and Ruby come there on this place, and the Doctor steps on a mine, which is a high-tech mine that tries to detect motion, if the person on top of it is alive or not, in order to explode. So yeah, the Doctor has to stay still and stop the mine, and then they find out that if the Doctor does explode, the planet also will. And that's the crux of it. And there are there are some characters coming in for certain reasons, and things start to go awry. And basically, out of this very simple idea of the Doctor stepping on a high-tech landmine, we get this Shakespearean drama. And I enjoy the episode a lot. The plotting, the pacing, and the plot is quite consistent. It never goes into the too complicated territory that Stephen Moffat can get into because of the limitations. It actually stays quite simple, and I think that the way we get to the climax and the solution feels a lot like he's trying to imitate Russell T Davies and the way he completes episodes, because there is this sort of fairy tale ending which is very subtly tying to the theme of the season that fairy tales come to life in the Doctor Who universe because of what happened in an episode. The ending was kind of a cop out and disappointing, but then again, I don't complain because it's consistent with the tone of the series and the style of the showrunner. So, kudos to Stephen Moffat for actually trying to fit in. I think he's a professional writer and he knows how to do his job when put into under a showrunner. But as a showrunner, as both Doctor Who and Sherlock proves, he can get out of his way and way too complicated. So yeah, that's a redemption story for Stephen Moffat. He is probably guilty of having Doctor Who lose a lot of fans in his stint as a showrunner, but here he comes and saves the day. This season has pretty much had very weak episodes up to now, and so he comes in and delivers Shining Diamond, I guess. He delivers an episode that people will remember. There is, oh yeah, the Landmine episode was good in the season. The same way he did for the first 4 seasons, come to think of it, because people remember Blink and Are You My Mommy? Not only that, of course, there are some classics by other writers too, and maybe we'll have a couple of them in the rest of the season. Up to this point, Russell T Davies has been hit or miss, mostly miss, especially when it comes to the new Doctor. The 10 episodes were kind of okay, I guess. When the new Doctor comes in, I think he was given very weak episodes up to this point, and he had to single-handedly hold them. And I believe he can do that. I believe he can hold an episode on his own. He's talented. He's a very talented actor, and he has created a Doctor of his own. I really enjoyed how Stephen Moffat actually had inserted an 11 reference in this episode, which was fun. It was a nice Easter egg. I think that the direction of the season is not quite there. I think that Russell Davies is trying to make a Disney Doctor Who, and I don't talk about politics, even though the politics on this one were very consistent with how the politics of New Who has always been. There's a big speech about things, and some religious people will probably be offended by parts of this season, of this episode. But then again, the script takes its time to actually throw them a bone towards the end. But yeah, it's an episode about how evil the military-industrial complex is, how faith blinds people. These are some very non-subtle themes, but they fit the episode, they create the drama, actually. We have a very clear villain that is, well, they're not there. They're very threatening to everybody, and you can feel how the tension ramps up. So yeah, it doesn't descend into a screed. It's actually a very clear-cut political episode about the evils of the industrial military complex, but it is given in a way that you can enjoy, that it makes sense. And alright, I mean, in 2024, believing that big corporations is a villain is an absurd idea for some people, but if you go to classic 80s and 90s, the big military industry is the villain in the most based movies out there. Alright, let this sink in. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why people will be offended by the idea that the military industrial complex is bad. I mean, look at the Boeing situation. If you see the Boeing situation running right now and watch this episode, it makes perfect sense. But yeah, I know some people will be like, oh, this episode was woke because yada yada yada. And I'm sorry to tell you guys, but the New Who under Russell T Davies was always woke. What Stephen Moffat did, he made it more based, or maybe more nuanced. But this is part of the course, and go back and watch the early episodes, and you'll see, at the moment you see the farting politicians, the fat farting politicians in the Legends of London. I mean, I rest my case. So yeah, that was my review for Boom. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, because I did enjoy it, and leave your comments below with what you believe. See you soon.